Hi, here we have the elements of a story, and this particular story is 11 by Sandra Cisneros. As you know from the story, little Rachel has a rough day on her 11th birthday as she's at school with Mrs. Price and Sandra, Phyllis, or Sylvia, not Sandra, Sylvia and Phyllis. So as you know, a short story, we'll go through a plot diagram. We'll start with an exposition. The conflict will start here. That's called the inciting action. And then we'll have more problems, more problems, more problems, more problems, more problems, up to the turning event known as the climax. And then the story starts to fall and it ends. So this here is the exposition. It introduces the characters and the setting and the background and the information, all of that that's in the story. In this particular story, Sandra Cisneros takes up about a fourth of the whole story. She wrote about a half a page. The story is only 2 pages long, and she wrote a full half page about turning different ages and how it's layered and how it takes all of these ages inside of you. And some days you feel 8, and some days you feel 3, and all that stuff. And that all was in the exposition. It wasn't until halfway through the first page of a 2-page story that we get to the inciting incident. And that was when the teacher says, "Whose sweater is this?" That changes everything. And before that, all of these rising action things happen. So the inciting incident, and then she's having all these struggles and struggles and struggles and struggles with this sweater, all the way up to the climax where she's just breaking down. She finally breaks down. Then the kid says, "Oh, I think that's mine." And then she says she's going to go back home and have her birthday. So the exposition and the rising action, like, hang on. Sorry, my dog was barking. So I had to let my dogs out. Oof. Okay, so again, the exposition is the beginning of the story. It kind of tells who's there, who the character is. We might get introduced to more characters later, but we definitely learn the characters and the setting. We might start some rising action in the beginning with that inciting incident, whatever it was that got us into the story. All of that is the beginning and the middle. The climax in a short story will end up being closer towards the end. The falling action and the resolution kind of happen right away. Sometimes it's only 1 or 2 sentences for the falling action and the resolution. So in 11, what was the big conflict? Of course, the big conflict is the way Rachel feels about this sweater. Her conflict is inside of her. She's really upset. The Mrs. Price and Sylvia characters, they are part of the conflict too, because they're both, actually pretty much everyone in the story is telling Rachel that this sweater is hers and she needs to put it on. And Rachel doesn't want to defy the teacher. She's only 11, and she's not going to go up against the teacher, in my opinion. So the initial conflict is when the teacher says, "This thing has been in the closet for a month. Rachel, it's yours." And up through the rising action, she continues to say, "It's not mine, it's not mine, it's not mine." And she says what the exposition said about, "I feel like I'm 9 and 10 and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1." Again, going on the whole layers of the story that Sandra Cisneros, the author, had put in there. All of this is in the rising action. All of the details about this gross, disgusting, bleh, yucky, poopy sweater. And Rachel just is having all of these conflicts about it. Up in the climax, she finally breaks down and she says, "Ugh, I can't take this anymore. This is the most disgusting sweater. It's not mine." And she starts to have a breakdown. That's the climax. She can't take it anymore. And then the falling action is the other girl's like, "Oh yeah, I just remember that's my sweater." And Rachel takes it off and just is so grossed out. And then the ending of the story is the resolution. She says, Mom is making a cake, and we will all sing happy birthday to me. I wish today to be far away already, like a little balloon in the sky. And that's the ending. So there are two different kinds of conflict. There's the conflict between people and nature, and people and other people, and people against society. But there's also one that is internal, where a character has conflict between himself or herself. And in this story, Rachel really has a lot of conflict with herself and how she's feeling about this sweater. There's no nature, there's no big thunderstorm or snowstorm or anything. There's kind of some problem between Rachel and the other girls. It's not like they're going to fight or anything. And she kind of has an issue with Mrs. Price. But again, she's not really going to fight with her or anything. And there's nothing about society. So this is really a big story about the character versus herself and how she's feeling. Again, external is character versus character. Character versus society, character versus nature. But this story really has a lot of internal conflict. There is, like I said, a little character versus character. She has these conflicts with the teacher and the other girl, but for the most part, those aren't really big conflicts. They're not going to go outside and fight or anything. A lot of the times, the way the character is, their personality, is what we can use to predict how they will behave in their story. So Rachel comes across to me as a very shy little girl, maybe a little timid. She maybe is the type of girl that likes to obey orders. And we can kind of tell that because she won't stand up to the teacher and she won't say out loud that the sweater doesn't belong to her. She really kind of holds all of that in. So you wouldn't expect her to come out and just be really big about, no, this isn't mine. She's not going to come out yelling like that. That's just not her personality. It's not her character. In our story, she is the protagonist. She's the one that the story revolves around. And it's her story that pushes the story from beginning to end. The other characters might be considered antagonists or the bad guys. You know, Sylvia, we don't really like her because she made Rachel feel bad. Mrs. Price, we're not going to like her because, again, Rachel's feeling bad because of what Mrs. Price is making her do. Their traits are revealed through their thoughts and their words and their actions. So in this story, Rachel, we know a lot of what she's thinking, and we know some of her words, but we get lots more of her thinking in this story than the words she actually says. And she doesn't do a whole lot as far as action. This one is also in your annotation book, and anytime you want to think about character traits, you can look in there. We could pause here and really look on this list to think of which words we would use to describe Rachel. I don't think I would use mature, probably more immature. I would say she's probably likable, but I don't know. I wouldn't pick anything in the mean section. Maybe glum or gloomy, maybe down. I don't know about those. I don't know. You guys see any that you think would really be a good one for Rachel? Hesitant, maybe here? Fearful? Uneasy? You think about it. She says over and over again, that's not, I don't, you're not mine. She says in a little voice that was maybe me when I was 4. So based on that, you can infer that she's feeling 4, that she's feeling like she's 4 years old and not 11. Maybe she is shy, not outgoing. I would not say she's a really adventurous type. Here's a good question to think about. How does Rachel's character traits affect the storyline? How does it affect? If she was a different kind of person, how would the story be different? last topic for this is the theme. What could we learn from the story 11? What would be a message we could learn? Here are some things that people come up with. That wisdom increases with age. Sure, it doesn't say that in the story, but because we've read the story, we could probably think that that's a good theme. Sometimes people won't listen. That's true. And that actually goes with the story. A red sweater can ruin your day? I don't know if that's the best theme. I might say something like, not a red sweater specifically, but something small can ruin your day. And the red sweater is only a small part of the problem. I might say something like, a small event might seem like the worst thing, but there might be a bigger problem. I don't know. And here's our last slide. Even though this story is fictional and never happened, Cisneros, the author herself, has said of her childhood, "When I think how I see myself, I would have to say at age 11, I know I'm older on the outside, but inside I'm 11. I'm the girl in the picture with the skinny arms and a crumpled shirt and crooked hair. I didn't like school because all they saw was the outside of me." Oh, Sandra. I hope you feel better about yourself now. All right, well, that is our Elements of a Story for 11.